Okay, so we just talked about Jesus and we talked about the Godhead. So let's get on to the third part of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit. Well, there's three parts to you. We're made in God's image, right? So our mind, our consciousness is like the Father. He is a consciousness too. He's a spirit to be worshipped in spirit, existing outside of this material temporal plane. I would say much the same with your consciousness. Let's talk about your consciousness for a second. Say I were to put a hard drive on a scale. We weigh it out. It weighs half a pound. You pull that thing off the scale, you plug it in, you upload onto it the things that make you you. Your hopes, your dreams, your aspirations, your fears, your loves, your desires, your dislikes, your discomforts, the things that make you insecure. Everything that makes you you. The thing that separates you from your next door neighbor or the person in the room right next to you. All the stuff that makes you the real you, your own identity, your consciousness. Take that out and put it back on the scale. It's still going to weigh a half a pound because that information is immaterial. Because it is immaterial, it is not bound by the same confines as time, as light, as anything physical. It is not a material substance. It's transcendent to that. Your consciousness is eternal. That's evidence to me that it's eternal. More evidence of that is the fact that, and C.S. Lewis, this is a quote, C.S. Lewis here, he said that if we were intended to be temporal beings, living inside time comfortably, we were intended that way. Us being surprised at the passing of time, which we are, constantly saying things like, gosh, has it really been 3 hours? Or, man, it's been so long since I've seen you. You've grown up so much. But us being surprised at the passing of time would make about as much sense as a fish constantly being surprised at the wetness of water. I mean, imagine the fish is like, whew, man, it's really wet in here. That'd be ridiculous. And we don't feel that way. We feel very, very surprised at time, which is evidence that we're not intended to be temporal beings. Our minds also aren't bound by the confines of time. My consciousness is not stuck in this moment all the time. I can close my eyes and go back to yesterday. I can't do anything about yesterday, but I can go back there. I can even close my eyes and hope about the future. I can imagine a future. I can daydream. I can engineer whatever I want. This shows that my consciousness, the real me, is not trapped in time, is not bound by physicality. So, that being said, that ties us to God in that sense where the mind, the Father, our consciousness, is eternal and transcendent of time and material. However, we are still residing within these bodies. And much like our flesh carries out our living will, Jesus carried out the living will of the Father. Now, the Holy Spirit. Sorry for going so long-winded to get to this point, but say it's Christmas time, right? And you're in the spirit of the season. What does that mean, being in the spirit of the season? Well, I'm in the spirit of the season. I'm whistling jingle bells. I'm decorating my house, putting up Christmas trees and Christmas lights and all that stuff, and just jovialing. I'm in that holiday spirit. When you're in the Holy Spirit, it's much like that, except when you're in the holiday spirit, you're doing holiday things. When you're in the Holy Spirit, you're doing holy things. You have a desire in your heart to do holy things. It's not just any spirit, though. This is God's Spirit. When you ask for the Holy Spirit to come and dwell within you, and this is important because the Spirit is, like I said, I'm a dualist. There's the physical and there's the spiritual. When you ask for God's Holy Spirit to come and dwell within you, it will come and dwell within you. All of a sudden, your desires change. The things that you want to do change. The way you view the world changes. Things that used to matter don't matter, and things that used to ignore mean so much because they're what's real. You start seeing all this temporal, material existence as less substantial. This is why when people die as Christians, we don't go, oh my gosh, they died. Oh, I'll see them again. Anyway, without going too far off topic, the point is that That's God's Spirit. When the Father created us, he did so with the Holy Spirit, because that was his spirit. That is his nature. It's his spirit, not ours. We have our own soul, and we're born in a fleshly, worldly spirit, but we ask for a portion of God to come within us. This is where it gets really paradoxical. Whatever. We're asking for God's eternal Holy Spirit to reside within us. So then God literally does come in and dwell within us. So his Holy Spirit comes in us, and we start wanting to do things God's way. So when Jesus did everything that he did, it was with the Holy Spirit. Jesus was obviously indwelled with the Holy Spirit. I mean, it's God's Spirit. The Father was, let me not go too far off topic. The point is that in this way, that Holy Spirit is God, because it's the Spirit from God. When I was in that holiday spirit, that was my spirit. It was of me at that moment, or of the world, or whatever, however you want to take it. But this spirit is of God. So therefore, the Godhead is the consciousness. The Son is the living will carried out in physical form, or even not, just in living will, however you want to put it. And the Holy Spirit is the Spirit with which all that is done. And we can take part in that, because we have our own consciousness, which is separate from God, which is where free will comes in. And that's a whole nother video. And we have this flesh, this temple of flesh, where God, Spirit, can reside, where the Shekinah glory of God can reside. I might be stretching that. Anyway, the glory of God can reside, can shine from within us. And there's God's Holy Spirit. And we can take part in that. And I hope I didn't get too confusing in that. I know that the Christians, I know that you guys should probably be able to make sense out of what I said. I also try and make these videos for non-believers so they can kind of get a grip on my perspective of things and how we view it. I try not to speak Christianese. I come from a very worldly background, like everybody, right? But even still, the world I'm in, I got a lot of worldly friends, and they're very thoughtful and intellectual, and I can't start speaking Christianese, and it's behooves me and them to try not to be so, Anyway, so that's the Trinity. Boy, there's so much more I wanted to get into on this, but I think that's enough for now. Let me know what you guys think. If you disagree, if you have any questions, or I don't know, if you do agree, let me know. And I guess I'm supposed to say leave a like. I don't really care. I just care that God's glory is carried out throughout the world. And I pray that I'm actually witnessing truthfully and not of my own self. But the likes get it more on search engines. So people look it up. They'll see it more often. So you leave a like. Hopefully God's glory will be spread more. So anyway, thanks.